It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, Robert Brzezinski, and he joins us from Lakewood, Colorado. He's a licensed practitioner at the Centers for Spiritual Living and holds a master's degree in consciousness studies and is in the process of becoming a licensed religious science minister. His passionate style of speaking has inspired audiences across the West, and he has promised to bring his dynamic and passionate nature to us today. So please join me in welcoming Robert Brzezinski.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can we start that again? I'm going to invite you to join in the silence.
We heard you. Something's come this way.
I love technology. And that's not being facetious. I love technology. And we get to use whatever technology is in the room in the morning. So let's try again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all so very, very much for having me today. And I want to just begin by saying, you do realize how blessed you are by this music team, yes?
Yes.
One of the cool parts about being where I am this morning is I get to sneak in early and catch the warm-up and get to listen to them practice and hear the songs that they didn't get to play for you this morning that they used to warm up. And I'm standing there and I'm just kind of bopping around a little bit. And all of a sudden I hear, oh, we've got a gift for you. Okay.
Actually, I said, no, we stole from you.
And we stole this from you. And I was like, okay. And my mind's going, wait a minute, I'm not a songwriter. My dear friend Wes here has very specific instructions to make sure that my mic is muted during all the music. You do not want to hear me sing on a Sunday morning. And then they start to play that song. There is only one. And I'm standing there going, these words sound really familiar. I think I said this somewhere in a talk once, or maybe twice, or maybe 3 times. And we shared a little later that, yes, that is from a talk that I've given, and it's available on YouTube if you'd like to search it out and find it. But the point is, that song speaks so much to one of the core messages that I feel is my privilege and honor to bring to this planet. It is about unity, and it is about community. And today we're beginning a 4-part series on love and light in, and you're going to get to fill in the blanks this week and in the following weeks. Today I get to do family. Next week you're going to look at relationship. The week after that, career. And at the end of the month, being. So love and light in family. Well, I'm a father of 2. I have 2 young children, beautiful souls. I have a wife, one of those. Thank you. My brother's with me here today. I have extended family across the United States. And I started to really look at this concept. What is family? What is it? We know there's different layers of family. We know that there's different qualities to our family. I found a great quote by that famous author, Unknown. Family is like fudge. Mostly sweet with a few nuts. So my intent today is that we'll be mostly sweet and there might be a few nuts thrown in here and there as we go along today. I'd like to ask a quick question. How many people in the room were born and raised here in Colorado? I can't raise my hand. Okay. Anybody from New England? Couple on this side of the room. Any from New Jersey, New York metro area? They're all on this side of the room. We've got one brave soul sitting in the New England side of the room. Okay. My wife's from New England and I'm from New Jersey. So a few weeks back, the football game got really, really interesting. And I thought we were going to pull out another miracle. I really did. I thought the Broncos were going to. And the reason I bring that into the room this morning is I just want to remind you, if you are watching a pregame show, to please put in your earbuds and no cheering during the pregame show. So if you're watching a pregame show out there, just turn the volume down a little bit.
It's possible.
Family. What does family really mean? Now, I'm a firm believer, and this philosophy teaches that we get to make this up as we go along, meaning life. My suggestion is you make it up so it works for you. And if it's not working for you, let's have a conversation about that. But what does family really mean to you? And I'm going to ask you to look at that as we go along this morning. What does family truly mean? So, if you know me, you know that I'm all over Facebook. And you're welcome, if you're on Facebook, you're welcome to find me there. And I share a lot of stuff. So last night I'm sitting around and I'm putting some of the finishing pieces on this talk. And it's funny because I'm chatting with some other ministers across the movement who are also sitting in their offices on Saturday nights putting on the finishing pieces to their talk. And we swapped a couple of quotes I'll share with you later. So I just threw out this thing on Facebook that said, family means blank. Fill in the blank. I got a lot of responses. There were only a couple I really liked. Family means never having to ask, do you still love me? Think about that. Even in the trying moments, even when you're hanging out with those couple of nuts in your fudge, you don't ever really have to ask, do you still love me? We know that. The other response I got that I really, really liked was, family means never having to ask, whose underwear are these? I have a couple of children, so those of you with families, you know, you never know where you're going to find a pair of underwear in the house. They just show up in places. But I wanted to take that just a little bit deeper, too. Because ultimately, family means they are always there. Always there. No matter what. Even when they're 500 miles away. Even if they've made that transition to the next incarnation of life. Family is there. This was brought home to me so poignantly about 7 months ago. Today I've been referred to as Reverend Robert, and you've seen that in the program as Reverend Robert, and that's a little bit of a typo. It's only a typo in the concept of human time. In God's mind, that's not a typo. But in human time it is, because while I graduated from Holmes Institute, while I hold a master's in consciousness studies, those are just pieces of paper. There's one piece of that whole process to getting from practitioner to reverend where, unbeknownst to me, I had made a covenant with God to take a little bit of a different path to getting that REV. Now, it is said that ministering is what you do and reverend is your title. So I'm here doing what I do without the title. The title will come. But the point in this is, shortly following the experience where I became consciously aware that God and I had made this incredible covenant to wait, to take a different route to my title, my daughter was with me. And she looked up at me and she said, you know what, Daddy? It's okay. You're still a minister in my heart. That's family. Out of the mouth of a 5-year-old, well, she was 6 by then. Out of the mouth of a 6-year-old, we can learn what family is. Now think about it. How many families do you have? 5, 6, 7? We've got our direct family, that's our blood relatives. Our extended family, it's our in-laws, people that maybe have come and gone in and out of our lives. There's that work family. Those are people we share certain aspects of our lives with, maybe not others. You have your church family. Take a look around. Take a look at who's on your left and who's on your right. I'm hoping you know when their birthday is. Or more importantly, when they could use a little bit of support, or maybe a word that says, I love you. Look at somebody in the room and tell them right now, I see the God in you. This is a pretty big family. And if we had time and a really, really tall ladder, I'd invite you all up here and we'd get a family portrait. But I don't think we have the cameraman or the ladder to get high enough to get all of you, because this is a pretty big family. I hope you all get a chance someday to stand up here, like Raina did, and look out over the family, because it's beautiful. It is gorgeous to see this family and to be invited in for a day. Now, beyond this, we have our spiritual family. Those that could not be with us today, maybe those that have moved on to other communities, different churches, those in the international organization of Centers for Spiritual Living. If you've never been to a community gathering, which will happen next week in New Orleans, or a Silmar, which happens in August, where you get a chance to hang out with a big group of the family, like 800 or 900 of us. I highly encourage it. It's an incredible experience. Because we're really a family of one. That's what that song is speaking about. The fact that we are a family of one. Everybody is your brother and your sister. Is a cousin or an aunt or an uncle. Hopefully not the one with the nuts. Everybody's part of that one family. It's what we make it. It's who we are. It's community. So here I am, preaching those same words on a different Sunday. And I hope, my dearest hope is that you are hearing the fact that you are that one. You were that one. You were that one the first time I said it. You were that one when this wonderful group of people chose to turn that into a song. You are going to be that one when they sing that again. And I kind of hope you sing it again sometime.
That's good.
Because all of life comes down to this concept of community. Family is a relationship. Relationships build community. And we know this. I know this. You know this. There's people out there in the broader community called Colorado Springs that know this and just haven't experienced it yet. You are creating a community unlike any other. You're creating a community that truly cares about each other. When was the last time somebody at work looked at you and said, you're perfect. Just the way you are. When was the last time you said that to somebody while you were driving on the highways? It's this sense of community that in some circles is also known as interspirituality. That's a pretty big word, and it encompasses a lot. It's a Christian mystic. His name is Brother Wayne Teasdale. And Brother Wayne is still with us. He wrote a fabulous book called The Mystic Heart. And when I first it was a required reading, and you pick up the book, and when you move through a master's program, any of you out there that have done it, or any master's program, any PhD program, any regular bachelor's program, you get a lot of books assigned. And there's always that, do I really need this one? Couldn't I just, look it up on the internet or something? Well, this was an assigned book, and I tell you, I fell in love with this book. If you ever have the chance, check out Brother Wayne Teasdale. Because he speaks from a place that is more than just a place of the heart. It's more than just that essence that says God is. He speaks from that place that knows and embodies and recognizes that we are all one. In there he writes, the real religion of humankind can be said to be spirituality itself. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? The real religion of humankind is spirituality. Because mystic spirituality is the origin of all the world's religions. If this is so, we might also say that interspirituality, and he defines that as the sharing of ultimate experience across traditions. I'm going to say that part again. The sharing of ultimate experience across traditions. That is the religion of the third millennium. That is the religion of today. Interspirituality. Interspirituality is the foundation that can prepare the way for a planet-wide enlightened culture and a continuing community among religions that is substantial, vital, and creative. Let's break that last part down again. So this concept of ultimate experience across traditions, shared spiritual communities, shared spiritual experience. That's what we're having today, right? I'm going to invite you in the days to come, in the weeks to come, in the months to come, to stay with this concept of shared spiritual experience. How can you experience spirituality with the person on your left, with the person on your right, with the person behind you, with as many people in this room as possible, other than Sundays? Because it is that which is the foundation for a planet-wide enlightened culture. Last I checked, it was 2012, right? There's something big happening this year, right? What if that is the birth of a worldwide enlightened culture? And would you like to be part of it? I'm sorry, would you like to be part of that? Cool. So, I was reminded of this. This isn't a new concept, by the way, either. Correct? Wayne Hughes, I think this book was written in 2008. Interspirituality is gaining momentum across the planet. Type it into Google. You'll find tons of websites that are teaching interspirituality. And it shows up in the most amazing places. I saw a film recently, and my wife and I, we're not real big on the blockbusters and the shoot-em-ups and the explosions every 20 seconds. We look for something a little different in our film entertainment. And so we get a lot of movies from the library. And I'll be honest, some of them are not my flavor. Those are the nuts and the fudge. But we saw this clip, and we liked the name. It was called Of Gods and Men. Of Gods and Men. And we liked the clip, so we got the movie. We didn't realize it was a foreign film. Neither of us really speak French. Able to pick out a couple words. Thankfully, there were subtitles. But the interesting part is, in the first 5 minutes of the film, there's not a single word spoken. So at first you don't realize you're watching a foreign film and going to be reading subtitles for 2 hours. And then all of a sudden there's words and subtitles, you're like, wait a minute, is this the movie I was getting? But the story was a group of 8 monks, French-speaking Christian monks, that were living in Algiers in the early to mid-90s. Now, if there's a history major in the room, you know where I'm going. This was part of the time in history where a group of Muslim extremists were rising up. And there was quite a bit of strife and unrest in Algiers at this time. And in the early part of the movie, there's a scene where these monks, in their full robes and their crosses, are walking through this little village, and they're going to a coming-of-age ceremony for a young man. Now, up to this point, you haven't really heard much in the film. There's not a lot of context. And if you're watching, you're like, wait a minute. They're speaking Islam. They're reading from the Quran. This is a Muslim ceremony. And so here are these monks in a far-off land doing the work of their God by connecting with the people that would appear to be the polar opposite of their belief system. And the people in the village were not the extremists. They were not the purveyors of violence. They were everyday people. And these monks wrestled back and forth with, do we stay or do we save our lives? Do we go? Because the longer we stay, the harder it's going to be to ever get out of here. They actually have an experience on Christmas Eve with the lead terrorist, if you will. I'm not really fond of that name, but it communicates in this moment. And these extremists break into their compound, into their monastery, and are demanding medicine. And the monk stands up to them and says, no. You can bring your injured men here and we will care for them because we do not see any difference between one man or another. But I will not give you my medicine to take out of this monastery. And the leader of the extremists says, okay, I can honor that. And as he's about to turn and go, the monk says, I need you to know this is a special day. Because this is the eve of the birth of the Prince of Peace. The other man turns back and he says, Jesus? And the monk says, yes. And the man comes back and offers him his hand and says, then I am sorry. And they shake hands. If you'd like to know how the movie ends, catch me outside. The point in this is, that's inner spirituality. That's shared experience. That's coming to understand that my God is the same as your God. No matter what you call it. How many names are there for God? Allah, Buddha, Brahma, Yahweh, Vishnu, source energy, higher consciousness, the one, the call. Pick whichever one works for you. Pick whichever one works the best for you because it's all part of that one. It's all the same. I believe, and if you're willing to accept the mission and join in, I believe this year, 2012, is truly about coming to terms with being clear who our God is, how we know our God, how we express our God, and being courageous and being willing to stand up and say, that's my God. In you I see the face of God. In you I recognize the essence of God. In you I see the namaste. The Sanskrit word that says the God within me honors the God within you. It has been said that religious science is a religion of convenience. Ask a practitioner how true that is. And watch you just laugh. And I'm sure most of you in this room would laugh as well. Because once you know these principles, there's no going back. You can't unlearn this stuff, folks. Sorry. You might try. You can go put your head in the sand. You can go hide in the redwoods or the Cascades or head up onto the top of Pikes Peak and pretend you don't know these things. But deep inside you know you know. I believe 2012 is about creating a more intimate relationship with God. Recognizing that God is part of our family. And that I'm part of God's family. And that there is no separation between the two. None at all. One of my favorite quotes by Ernest Holmes: spiritual evolution should make the divine not more distant, but more intimate. Are you ready to evolve spiritually? Now, when we talk about evolution, there's something that's inherent that we have to think of before we can get to evolution, and that's called involution. Involution is the seed. Involution is that inner God self, that inner essence, that piece of you where nothing need be added, nothing need be subtracted, and nothing need be changed for you to be the essence and the experience and the expression of God here on this planet. Can you hear that?
Yes.
I know. I like audience interaction. So we want to know, and God wants us to know, that we are the perfect prototypes of universal mind. Everything necessary for you to have the life you desire, to have the job you desire, the relationship you desire, the family you desire is already within you. The practice is what brings that forward. And you may be sitting in your seat right now going, yeah, this is all well and good, Robert, but how do I get to that? How do I go beyond my reactions when I'm driving? How do I see the face of God in this guy that I really just cannot stand working for? How do we get to the real, the embodiment of it? Oh, I'm out of time. That'll be another talk. No. Sorry. Let me do that real quick. I'm hoping that many in the room are familiar with the name Michael Bernard Beckwith. Because what I'm about to share is not mine. I would love if it was, but it's not. The principles are his. And these can be found in his book, Spiritual Liberation. But I think they speak so well to how to bring this into your real life. Evolved people give thanks for what most people take for granted. Evolved people give thanks for what most people take for granted. I shared earlier, I like to say, when it comes to Facebook, I'm an early adopter and a heavy user. Just find me, you'll see. Because there's so much out there on that platform right now that speaks to so much of what we speak to. Plug into the right friends, and that is a daily affirmation machine that just reminds, every time you look at it, there's another reminder of how great you are and how all this works. And there's one on there that I love. It says, what if all you will have tomorrow is what you have given thanks for today?
Get busy.
Did you give thanks when your car turned over this morning? Did you give thanks that somebody had shoveled the walk out in front of the building? So evolved people give thanks for what most people take for granted. Evolved people give without an agenda. Now, he's talking money. And you'll have a chance to do that a little later. And having been with you only for a half hour now, I don't know what your affirmation is during the collection period time. But I know I've been to a lot of churches in this movement, and a lot of us talk about freely I give. Well, are those words, or is that an attitude? Is that an essence? Is that something that comes from within you? Evolved people race to see who can forgive first. This doesn't mean that we allow ourselves to be a doormat. But it means that one of our primary responses is not revenge, is not retribution. It's to say, I see the God in you. And so I forgive whatever it is I'm feeling. Not because you need forgiveness, but because I need forgiveness for judging you about that. I'm sure many of you can remember revenge is much like drinking poison than expecting the other person to die. Evolved people experience life as a celebration rather than a problem to be solved. So you're in conversation and somebody says, well, yeah, I'd love to do that, but the problem is... Well, yeah, I'd be doing that, but the trick is... Does your default go to why you can't accomplish something or why you can? Evolved people experience life as a celebration rather than a problem. My personal coach would think that it's a problem that I'm going to have a piece of cake with the birthday folks later. I think it's time for a celebration. And I'll do 10 extra push-ups on Monday, I promise. Evolved people talk to themselves and not to the world. As a minister, though, it's a little tricky. I gotta balance that one. But the point is, don't tell the world or God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is. Point solved. Evolved people choose happiness over drama.
Yay. Amen.
I am pretty darn sure you wouldn't even be in the room if this one was up for you. I am confident everyone here has already chosen happiness over drama. Now, if you're a first-timer, maybe I'm wrong, but hang out, come back a couple weeks, you'll be in the flow of the happiness. You can't help it around here. Can you? I got to sit here this morning and just feel all that love coming up towards the stage. And I know it wasn't for me, it was for these guys. But I was close enough. I got to feel the overflow. And finally, evolved people understand the value of downtime. All right, you don't have to raise your hands. When was the last time you took a nap? Cool, right on. I have a 4-year-old son, and he's at that point where he wants to believe he doesn't need a nap. But if he doesn't, by dinner time, my records come out. If he hasn't had a nap, by dinner time, I need another one. But we've gotten to that point where it's the coolest thing in the world for him to take a nap with me. And my wife is a little jealous. I can't blame her. Because I've instilled that in him. And it's really cool, and I'll be honest, that's all about me. Because if I've had my nap, it doesn't matter how much of a brat he might be at 6 o'clock. I've had my nap, I can handle it. But it doesn't have to look like a nap. Maybe it's a hike in the woods. Maybe it's just finding that bench in the park. Where's your downtime? Is it in prayer? Is it in meditation? Is it in spiritual practice? My invitation to you, if you're willing to accept it, is to turn to your spiritual practices. Because in spiritual practices, in prayer and meditation and visioning and journaling, all of that is possible and so much more. So much more. That's how you get to be evolved. because you're already enlightened. And you're here because God's calling you to take that next step. To be part of the change. To help define what 2012 really is. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you willing?
Yes.
Then I'm going to ask you to turn within. I'm going to ask you to assume whatever prayer pose means for you. And if you're a licensed practitioner, I'm going to ask you to stand in consciousness with this prayer. Just allow yourself to turn within. To that silence. For that is where we began this day. In the sweet, sweet silence of spirit. So I ask you, I invite you to recognize that one power, that one presence, that one infinite intelligence that I call God. And knowing God by many names, simply choose that one name that suits you. For this is your experience. And it is being shared across this room, across this community, across this state and this planet. It is here that I recognize God as the unlimited source, the unending supply of love and light and beauty, of truth and health and wealth and well-being, abundance, prosperity, opulence, wisdom. It's all God. Every moment, every snowflake, every ray of sunshine, that divine soul on your left and the divine soul on your right, it is all God. And it is all present right here in this very moment. Beyond time. Beyond space. And so I invite you to join me in recognizing your life as magnificent, as holy, as a blessing upon this planet. For I know you are a divine emanation of spirit. A one-time event on this planet. And I know this world would be a much, much lesser place without you. Without the gifts that you bring, without the consciousness that you bring, without the gifts that you share across this planet. You are the blessing. And you are blessed. I know this truth. I know this as the truth of every single person in this room and those unable to be with us this day. Each one of us, whole and complete, with nothing missing. And I truly know it could be no other way. And so it is here that I speak my word for you. For this community called the Center for Spiritual Living of Colorado Springs. I speak my word knowing that the divine is unfolding as this family, as this Sangha. Knowing that God is present in every breath, in every word, in every note, and in the space between the notes. Right there. I invite you to know God. And so as we move forward from this time, from this experience, I invite you to carry with you this concept of shared spiritual experience beyond Monday. Carry it into Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday and all the days in between. The invitation is to be yourself. divine expression of Spirit in every moment, in every way. And to know that you are forever supported, forever served, that you are always cradled in the strong arms of Spirit, loved and blessed. And so I am grateful for all of it. The opportunity, the words. Most especially, I'm grateful to know that as we collectively loose this word into the cosmos, into that creative law, that this word is already done. God already knows this prayer, is already manifested this prayer, is already moving this word into physical form on behalf of you, on behalf of me. Because there is only one. There is not two, there is not three, there is you, there is me, there is community. And that's good. Oh, so good. And so as I loose this prayer, I simply invite you, if any part of this has in any way resonated with you, I invite you to join together as we lift our voices in celebration, as we stand in courage and truth, as we shout from the rooftops together, join me. And so it is.